Hi everybody, this is Jen Rains. This is video number 2 of quarantine yoga. I hope everybody's doing okay and hanging in there and trying to stay as grounded as possible. I'm filming today at the Great Blue Heron Music Festival grounds, where I am a resident for 6 months out of the year. Just as a reminder, some of the props we'll be using today are blocks, and I'm using a box as one block and an actual yoga block as another. I have 1 or 2 of these Mexican blankets, something that is, it's pretty firm, so you can stack them and they're pretty supportive. And also I have a bolster, which is just a long rectangular pillow. If you can't find any of these things, it's not a big deal. You just kind of make it up as you go, and whatever's available you can use. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to find a seated pose, and we want to make sure we sit up on something, because typically our posture tends to be a little rounded. Like if we just randomly sit, our shoulders roll forward, and all of this is kind of a little too compact. The back is overstretched, and up here is too tight. And that's usually tight hamstrings, and all of that kind of feeds into that. So we want to honor all 4 natural curves of the spine. So the tailbone kind of works as a curl under. The low back curve, very important curve of the spine, that curve goes in the back. The upper back kind of goes out, and then the cervical spine, the neck spine, goes in a little bit. So we're going to have a seat. So I'm going to sit right on my bolster. You can sit on anything, stack a couple blankets, or even really a chair with your feet flat on the ground. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to sit kind of cross-legged here, and one of my knees doesn't reach the ground, so I like to kind of prop it up so both of my legs are resting. So you want this from here down to have a very downward energy, a very grounded energy. And it's really nice to do yoga outside. You can tap in to the earth and feel a little more grounded. So let's go ahead and find our sit bones. So we're going to rock back and forth. So to the back of the sit bones, to the front of the sit bones. And then landing in the center. So dropping into the sit bones, lifting up through the top of the head. And let's just close our eyes. So just checking in with how we're feeling right now. Checking in with the breath. Maybe doing a couple shoulder rolls, like inhaling the shoulders up to the ears and just letting it drop down. Also relaxing the jaw, closing the lips, relaxing the face, and just let everything release. And the throat, and just allow yourself to feel whatever you're going to feel right now. Feeling the sit bones ground through the earth, feeling the top of the head lifting up, and just feeling all of that space in your spine. Feel where the breath is moving in the ribs and the breastbone. And all of this uncertainty, all of this change, we can use it, to harness a more grounded energy in ourselves. So we're just at the mercy of everything going around us. We're just on the roller coaster. But if we learn how to ground roots in times of change, then we always have that place to go back to. Let's open our eyes, bring our hands in front of our heart. We're going to chant a few ohms. So as a reminder, the chant Om is 4 syllables. It's A, O, U, M. So really give that a chance to move some energy through the body. So anything that feels stagnant, if you've been still, if you've been sitting in worry, if anything is feeling stuck in your body or your life, chanting is a great way to move it through. And also just giving a chance to call out. We're silenced a lot. We're told to be quiet. We're told to not make noise. And I think it's important to call out and to give yourself that voice. So start to deepen the breath. So taking a deep breath in. And opening your eyes and deepening your breath. Just allowing that vibration of the chant to move through. Let's just take some arms up. You can send your palms up, or you can have your arms wide. And let's drop one arm and stretch the other over. And then going down to the other side. Just releasing the rib cage a little. And then let's come on to our hands and our knees. So we're going to go ahead and grab your blanket. Grab your blanket. You can have that under your knees, or if the mat doesn't bother your knees, you don't need to use it. So making sure that your hands are nice and spread, and a lot of the weight is on the bottom of your knuckles. You want to make sure you're not cupping your hands. So we're just going to start to add the breath as we move through flexion, which is here, to extension. Exhaling, inhaling, and just going back and forth. Feeling on the inhale that the front body expands and the back body squeezes. On the exhale, the front body squeezes, the back body expands. And now lateral flexion. So we're going to tuck our tail a little, just like a little flexion, and then we're going to squeeze the left side of the rib cage. So left shoulder, left hip. So the right side of the body opens and the left side squeezes. And then we go to the other side. Squeezing. And then the right side shortens, left opens. Let's do that one more time on each side. So left shoulder to left hip, back to center, tucking the pelvis, squeezing the right shoulder to the right hip. Great. And then maybe another flexion extension. All right. And now for the rotation of the spine, we're going to have the right knee move forward, left hand move forward. And this time, we're just going to bring the right arm all the way up. So feeling that rotation all the way from the tailbone through the top of the skull. And then coming back. And then other side. So left knee forward, right hand forward. And then we'll breathe the left arm up. Feeling the twist in the spine. And then coming back down. So a little more intense twist for the upper back. The left hand moves forward, and we're going to thread the right shoulder all the way down. And just take some deep breaths here, breathing all around the right shoulder blade. And then pressing up. Another flexion extension. And then the right hand moves forward, and we'll thread the left down. Breathing into the upper back. And then coming back. Another flexion extension. All right, so we're going to work on downward facing dog. So one of the first things we want to do in downward facing dog is release the back of the legs, because that will help us get the heels a little closer. Now usually I have a yoga strap with me, but it is somewhere lost in the move in a box that I have not unpacked yet. So I'm actually going to use a sock. So you can use a blanket, you can use a belt, you can use any kind of strap that you can find. So we're going to start lying down. I'm going to roll my shoulder blades underneath. Oh, that sun feels so good. So instead of a more relaxed, open position here, I'm almost like standing on an invisible floor. I'm going to bring my right knee in. I'm going to strap the ball of the foot and extend the leg up. So whatever strap, just make sure it's long enough to where your elbow and your knee are straight. So if your knee is bent, that means your strap needs to be longer. If your elbow is bent, your strap needs to be a little shorter. So breathing into the back of the leg so you can feel it in the calf or the hamstring, allowing that right sit bone to go down. Breathing into the whole body, especially into the back of the leg. And let's bend the right knee. Extend that. And then left leg. Giving it a little squeeze. And then strapping the ball of the foot, extending the leg up. Dropping the left sit bone down. Make sure you're breathing, shoulders away from the ears. bending the knee. And then to get up, we want to roll our knees in, roll to one side, and press up. And that's just a little more relaxed way of coming from a lying down position to a sitting position. So downward facing dog, we want the spine to be elongated and also representing the curves of the spine. We don't want it to be just that one C curve. We want to make sure the pose is nice and open. So we learn it a lot of times on our knees. So I'm sitting on my heels here with my knees wider than my mat. I'm going to make sure that my sit bones are going to start to go up as I reach forward. Head is down. And see if I can find that line from the sit bones to the top of the head, from the bottom of the shoulder blade to the fingertips. And then coming up. So to move into the full pose, we're going to start with bent knees because the spine is really going to dictate how much the knees are going to straighten. So it's not going to make a lot of sense for us to straighten the knees but have no low back curve and no extension in the spine. So again, make sure your fingers are spread. You curl your toes under, press into the hands. I'm going to press my chest back. My knees are kind of sticking out to the side, and I'm pressing all the way through my sit bones. If you want to play around with straightening the legs, just want to make sure that your sit bones are still lifting. And that's okay if you just need to bend the knees a little. So pressing from your hands to your heels. And making sure you're breathing. And then coming down to the knees. Let's grab a couple blocks. I'm going to do a couple lunges and work on some balancing. So you'll have your blocks towards the beginning, the front of your mat. And let's bring our right knee forward just to start. Just doing our basic lunge like we did last week. And you can have the blocks at the highest setting. We're going to curl the back toes under and lift up into kind of our next level lunge here. Now just as kind of a challenge, really feeling all four corners of your front foot and feeling that you're reaching out through the back heel, you can come right up. So you can put your hands on your hips, or you can reach your arms up, or bring your elbows to the side. Making sure the back leg is straight. And adding breath. And then hands go back on the blocks. And let's bring the back foot up a little. Glue the right ribs to the right thigh. And straighten the front leg as long as you can keep the ribs on the thighs. So maybe it's really bent like this. Whatever is going to work for you. But the second your ribs start to curl away from the leg, you've gone too far. Just bend the knee a little bit more. And then bend the front knee. And we'll change legs. So left foot comes forward. So just kind of owning this lunge. Step one. Step two, curl the back toes under. Come to that high lunge. So this is where you really want to find the earth element to your pose. So really connecting to all four corners of that front foot. The ball of the back foot reaching back through the back heel. And then you can come up. Dropping the shoulders away from your ears. And then hands back to the block. You can bring that back foot in a little, glue the left ribs to the left thighs, and then straighten that front leg as long as the rib stays on the thigh. Check in with your face and your jaw again. And then bend the front knee. So let's come up to a standing pose. Find our Tadasana, our mountain pose. So all four corners. I like to really find the big toe mound, that place on the ball of the foot near the toe, and really fan out and find all of the space in the feet, inner and outer heels. Find that energy going down, and then start to move up and out of the pelvis with the spine, lifting through the breastbone, the shoulders up, back, and down, lifting up through the top of the head. Let's do a couple standing poses. So we'll start with warrior one. We'll turn the right toes out. So again, finding all four corners. Back heel is back at about 45 degrees. And I like to actually pump that front leg a little bit, just to add a little motion and playfulness. And sometimes I like to actually remind myself by placing my hand on the inner knee as I bring the knee over the ankle. And then finding the spine upright here, and then growing the arms out of the collarbones. The gaze is over the right fingertips. Exhale the shoulders away from the ears. Back leg is nice and straight and powerful. Exhale the arms down. And let's switch the feet. Point the left toes, the right heel moves back, and pump the front leg. Growing out of the collarbones. Back leg is powerful. Exhale, arms down. Straighten the legs. Let's come back to Tadasana. Breathing into the feet. Breathing into the top of the head. And let's move into Trikonasana, or triangle pose. So we have the block to the right of the right foot, and we take that same stance. And then we're going to reach the right arm out. So lengthen the underside of the rib cage here, dropping the hands to the block, and then create space between the hands. Making sure you're breathing. And then we're going to move into Parsvakonasana, or extended side angle. So we're just going to bend the knee over the ankle and then bring the arm over. So make that strong line between the hand and the foot, left hand, left foot. Let's do those poses on the other side. You can just take your block with you. Finding length here, reaching out, lengthening the underside of the rib cage, dropping the left hand, creating space in between the hands. So the legs are active, but not overly tight. You don't want to feel like you're gripping. And then we'll bend the front knee over the ankle, and then we'll reach the arm over, creating that straight line. And then coming up. Again, we'll find Tadasana. So every standing pose has the ability to change your Tadasana, change the energy of the standing. All right, we're going to work on half moon. Now you might want to be against a wall here. This is a balancing pose. And you don't want to be around something maybe that you can knock over, because sometimes you can be a little wobbly in this pose. So there's a lot of energy in this pose. There's a lot of power in it. So we're going to place the block about a foot ahead of your foot and 6 inches to the side. And you want to maintain at least 2 points of contact to the ground. And it's going to get a little light in your back foot, and sometimes that happens, and spring up. So lifting the back leg, making sure your front foot is forward. And you can just find a wall and lay right against the wall and until you're strong enough to hold. And then to come down, you want to soften the knee, keep your hand on the block until your back foot's up, and then come up. And other side. So you want to start in that deep bent knee, a foot ahead, about 6 inches to the side. Going a little downhill here. Get light in the back foot and shine up. So imagine, your energy is here and you're radiating out of all of your limbs. Soften the knee, reach back, and come up, back to Tadasana. Taking a breath. All right, Prasarita Padottanasana, which is a wide-legged forward bend. So we're going to have 2 blocks to the side of the mat. So in forward bends, the rule is your body is divided almost into 2 teams. So you have your legs, and then you have your pelvis, spine, and skull. And they're usually doing 2 opposite things. So in a standing forward bend, the legs are going to be stationary and active. And then the pelvis, the spine, and the skull are going to move in unison. So a lot of times when we're real tight around the hips and we want to do a forward bend, the pelvis stays, and then the spine tries to bend out of the pelvis. So we want to have the pelvis free, so we're hinging from the hips and not the waist. So we're not going to go down any farther than our hamstrings kind of tell our pelvis you're not going to move anymore. So feel like you're lifting up on your kneecaps, and you're about at 90 degrees. And you should be in spinal extension. You can actually reach around and feel your back. So if you feel a bunch of little bumps, that is your spinous process, and that means that you need to be up a little higher. But if you feel kind of a valley in between 2 peaks, then you're in extension, and that's good. So lifting up on the sit bones, and also making sure that your sit bones aren't way behind your heels. Kind of hard to show in the video. It should be about at the same line as your heels, keeping the feet active and breathing. And then let's soften the knees. We're going to kind of heel toe our feet towards each other. Now to come up from a forward bend, I'm going to reach back and hinge from the hips and come up. Good. All right, let's come down to the mat. And we're going to do a back bend. We're going to do the bridge pose. At first we're going to work up to it. So just lying on the back, feet straight forward. We're just going to start to lift the pelvis up on an inhale and then exhale. Inhale. A little higher. And then exhale. And then one more time, we're going to press into the feet. Going to roll the shoulders under. Bringing the breastbone towards the chin. And then exhale. Maybe going up one more time. You can clasp the hands to get a little more lift in the chest. And then exhale, come down. Going to roll to our side and press up. More back bends. Going to take our bolster, set it here. So if you don't have a bolster, anything that's going to be reasonably comfortable and supportive will work. We'll do a couple more back bends. So I'm going to have the front of my pelvis on this side of the bolster. So a way to tell if you're too far off the bolster, you know, if you start to make a nosedive, then you're too far on the bolster. So just backing up a little. So Shavasan, in this version of the pose, going to feel grounded through the pubic bone, keeping the chin down. On an inhale, just reaching back. And then coming back. You can either do that again, or we can move to Dhanurasana, just bending the knees. Going to reach back to the fronts of the ankles, activate the feet, and pull back. So if this is too much, you can just be in Shavasan. And that's just releasing, breathing into the low back. And then pressing up. And then we'll have a seat. Going to do a little twist. Going to extend the right leg. We're going to bend the left. We're going to hug the left leg with the right arm. Inhale, extend, exhale. Gazing over the left shoulder at first, and then derotating, looking at the right foot. And then coming back. Extending the left leg, bending the right knee. And again, we'll kind of give it a hug with the left. Inhale, lengthen, gaze over the right shoulder. And then derotating the neck. Let's take a blanket. We're going to do a squat to help release the back. So we're going to fold a blanket so it's about this thick. I'm going to have my heels on the blanket and the balls of my feet on the mat. So ideally, you want to have your feet relaxed so the tendons in front of the ankle, you don't feel them engaging. So I like to put my upper arm bones over the knees and drop the head. So your tailbone should be in suspension, suspended in air. And just breathing into the back. Coming back here, we're going to take our blanket out, and then we're going to transition into a lying down pose. Let's take our knees in. Going to move the knees to the left. Take a deep breath. Bring our knees to the center, over to the right. We're going to roll all the way onto our right side and press up. So we're going to set up for our Shavasan. My favorite setup for Shavasan is pretty basic. I just like to have something folded under the head and something under the knees. You can get fancy and also roll a blanket to have under the ankles, and once I locate the rest of my yoga props, we'll do a little more training with Shavasan. So Shavasan is our relaxation. It's where we integrate our yoga practice into our body. So just making sure that the pillow is supporting, the bolster supporting underneath the knees, and the blanket is under the head. So you want to feel like you are relaxing out from the center of your body. Shoulders are down. And just taking a few deep breaths. Releasing your jaw and your face. Having your belly soft. Just feeling the earth rising up underneath you. Feeling the air on your skin. Just feeling completely supported. Knowing that this place of peace is always accessible for you. Just feeling the ripples and waves of your breath moving through the body. ready, just start to deepen your breath, moving the fingers and the toes, hands and feet. So there's no rush. And then bending the knees, giving them a squeeze. Rolling to your side. Just staying here on your side for a moment. And then pressing up. And just coming to any comfortable seated pose. And checking in with how you feel differently after your practice. So I wish you all love and happiness and health and safety, and have a beautiful day. Namaste.